Hey, what's up, good people? Welcome to Brandon's Comedy Bomb Show. I am your host, Brandon Phillips, where I bring you your favorite comedians to tell their stories in the most memorable moments bombing on stage. Today, my special guest is Candice Thompson. You've seen her on The Tonight Show. You've seen her on The Late Late Show with Stephen Colbert. She's also a writer on Lights Out with David Spade. And she has her own podcast called The Struggle. Y'all, give it up for Miss Candice Thompson.
Hey.
What's up, girl?
Oh man, so much of everything.
Yo, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yes. So Candice, check it out. We're gonna get right into it. So first, tell people where you're from.
I am originally from Queens, New York, then Cincinnati, Ohio, most of my life, but I live in LA and I've been out here for a long time now.
Okay, a long time. Okay, all right. And so how long have you been doing stand-up comedy for?
Stand-up? I started stand-up in I think 2007 was my first year doing it. So, but then I also quit for a year and a half.
Okay. All right. And sometimes you gotta throw in the towel and go pick the towel back up.
And part of the reason why I quit for a year and a half was part of it was sparked by the bomb that I'll talk about.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That usually might get us sometimes. All right, cool. So let's just hop right into it. So what is your most memorable bombing on stage moment?
So it would have to be at the Laugh Factory.
Oof, already just historic. So
I mean, it's the Laugh Factory, and normally the Laugh Factory, when I talk to other comics about comedy and places that are built for comedy, the Laugh Factory is legitimately built for comedy. So it's bright lights, the way that it's set up. It's just we performed in places that just weren't made for comedy, but bars and stuff like that. But the Laugh Factory is it's made for that. So, but at the time I was it was 2000. It was 2008, and I was doing Chocolate Sundays, and it was black rooms, man.
Anytime someone says black
man. Yeah. So every comic, I'm sure, has a story of their bombs and then their bombs in a black room. Right. And they're two different.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
White people can be a little bit more forgiving.
Absolutely, yeah. They don't have a Sandman,
Right.
in white rooms.
There is a pleasure that comes from watching people bomb in black rooms that I don't think exists in mainstream rooms. I think black people want you to bomb because there's some type of play, and I don't know if it came from the Apollo, we're talking about Sandman. I don't know if that's what kind of set the stage for expectations in comedy, but they're ready to boo. And so there's a prove yourself factor that comes with performing in a black room. So I was new in comedy. I hadn't even been doing it barely a year. And I think my comedy, I don't know if it was a mix of, there's always a mix. When you're a woman in comedy, people are already not on your side because they don't think you're going to be funny. So there's that we have to overcome immediately. But also, I think at the time, I just started. So I was too wordy with my jokes and too way too cerebral and heady and trying to be smart instead of just having fun.
Yeah.
And on top of the fact that I'm super light skinned, so they already are who is this bitch?
What is this?
What is she? She's a woman, she's light skinned, she's attractive. I am already just I'm not here for anything that she has to say. Right. On top of the fact that I wasn't having fun, I was too in my head, and I was talking about black shit from a face that is they don't even know if I'm black yet. And so it was just the perfect storm of spiraling down.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
And then when I got off stage, and here's the thing is what I've learned in, just in years of doing stand-up is like, if you're bombing, the best thing to do is address the elephant in the room. And that's just.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
That's
a good
comedy 101 right there. Like
embrace it, and then maybe you can riff off the fact that you are bombing and like, play with the crowd, do some crowd work if your jokes, but I didn't know that stuff at the time. So I can just continue to do my material as if nothing's going wrong. like an idiot. And so I'm killing right now in my head.
Right.
With these jokes, right? And that they were not having. Like, it wasn't like complete silence from the crowd. It wasn't like there was chuckles, but like, again, like I said, in the Laugh Factory, it's built for comedy. So like, when someone's doing really well, but I was not acknowledging it, and I just kept it going. And then when I got off stage, the producer, which I'm not going to say his name, who runs Chocolate Sundays, came up to me and was like, "That wasn't funny."
Wow.
Like, came up straight up to my face and was like, "That wasn't funny." And I was like, okay, like, I don't know how I'm supposed to react right now. I'm just gonna take in what you just said. But also, I was young at the time. I also know why. I know why he also. I mean, I did not have a good set. Let's put that out there. I did not have a good set, but I'm not delusional.
Right.
On stage at that time, I was delusional, but I'm not delusional in retrospect. Like, I knew I didn't have a good set, but I also know where those comments came from him too, is because he tried to holler at me one time and I shut it down. And so I think that, which is another thing that's annoying about being a woman in comedy, or just a woman in general in workspaces, is that men expect things from you to get places and whatever. And so I didn't know much. I didn't know a lot of people at the time, but I did know that I was never a chick that wanted to have to sleep her way to the top. So I rejected him, and I think he got a little bit of a grudge. And I mean, like, I knew I bombed. You don't have to come up and tell me, right? Like, we're not stupid. Like, I know I don't need you to vocalize what just happened. So
I was there. Like, I was there.
I felt every bit of it on stage, sir. You don't need to.
Straight to the chest.
But like, I think I don't remember. And also keep in mind, this wasn't like a full-on Chocolate Sunday set, like, because I hadn't gotten past to that level to do the real show. I was doing first impressions.
So how many people, just like for the viewers to know who are going to be seeing, how many people would you say were in the room?
I mean, that show is a popular show, so it was It was a full room for sure. But luckily, I think 3 minutes is what we had for first impressions. So it was like
something like that.
Yeah. It's not like a full on. I wasn't up there bombing for 15 minutes straight, but it felt like I was up there for 2 hours, because when you're not getting responses and you just hitting them crickets, it feels like a lifetime. So so I bombed, and him saying that to me, on top of the fact that I had just fell out with one of my best friends who was my comedy buddy at the time. And, like in stand-up, it's helpful to have somebody going to open mics with you, going out in there. And if you don't have that necessarily, it's easier for you to get unmotivated and like talk yourself out of going to a comedy store or coffee shop at 6 o'clock in the evening to go sign up and wait for 3 hours to get 2 minutes of stage time. So I had just fallen out with my comedy buddy. I got that feedback from that person on top of just bombing, and I was just getting unmotivated with comedy. And so that is kind of what made me stop doing stand-up I stopped for like a year and a half, and I didn't come back until 2010.
Wow, okay. So it took you a good minute to get back up on that horse.
Mm-hmm.
And
it'd
be like that sometimes. Man.
It's rough.
Do you remember the jokes that you were telling at that time? Obviously, you probably retired the jokes, but.
No, I mean, I don't remember specifically what I said on stage, but I mean, I've always talked about race stuff, and I think that's what it was, is talking about race stuff without necessarily addressing what I am, because I am ambiguous looking, is kind of an obstacle that I will always have to overcome. Especially in front of certain crowds. So yeah, talking about race stuff and just being too cerebral and too silly. Also, I'm very silly, so I may have done my Aaron Neville impression in front of Black people that are like, "Who the fuck is Aaron Neville?" So like, I don't remember exactly what I said, but
wow.
It led to a hiatus for a year and a half.
Too. Wow, that's hilarious. That is, so. Yeah, sometimes it does. It takes us a minute to get back up on the horse. I can attest to that. I've been there.
Well, what really did it for me to get back on stage was some harsh words from a friend of mine, Ian Edwards, who is like, I don't use the word magnificent very often, but he's a magnificent comedian. Like he's so brilliant. Right.
He's brilliant.
And and he's a really close friend of mine. And it was the end of 2009, and I think I'd gotten up one time with my friend who I had fallen out with. We'd kind of reconnected and like started going back on the scene. So we went and did a spot at the J Spot. Another big mistake.
Like, I'm only doing Black rooms. Only. That's how you got. You know what? Sometimes you can't do the bunny slope. You got to get all the way up on the mountain and just go for it.
Just take it to the face, and if you take it to the face, and the best way to do that is it's never going to get worse than a Black room. It's never. So once if you can do that and then get back up, you can do any room. And so I did that. I think that was one. Oh my God, that was one of two sets that I did that year. So I quit in 2008, and then I did two sets in 2009, which doesn't really count. The other set that I did in 2009 was I did a wedding. I did a wedding and I got kicked out of a wedding.
Wow. That's a first. That is a first that I've ever heard. I gotta say, oh my God, yo, can you perform at a wedding? Absolutely.
Here's the thing is it sounds terrible. And the thing about, I think, comedians is that the worse the situation, it's like, that sounds terrible, I'll do it. Like, because worst case scenario, I'm going to get a story out of this, right? Like worst case scenario, and I did it, and I was there at the wedding. It was my friend Joyelle who got asked to perform at the wedding, and she knew this was a bad idea. She was like, "I talk about dicks, like I talk about, having an asthma attack while giving head, right?" So she's like, "This is not." This is not the venue. So she told those people who asked her to do it, she said, I can refer you some more Christian comics. And I think Ron G was one of the people she referred.
Okay.
So she passed his name along and a couple of other people, but they wanted too much money. And so they came back to Joyelle and she was like, fine, I'll do it, but I can't do a half hour of clean material. Can I ask another one of my friends to do it with me? We'll just each do 15. And they were like, okay. And so we both did it and we both promptly got escorted out.
Wow, that is hilarious.
They kicked us out of the wedding. We got paid though. We still got paid. And we went straight to the ATM to deposit those checks before they could cancel them.
Just to make sure, like, listen, I went and I did my work. Let me go and deposit this real quick.
Yeah, no, we fulfilled your request. We did the stand-up.
Right.
It was just they were not open to anything. We weren't even being dirty. Just telling jokes. Like I made jokes about coming from a multiracial family, and the chick who got married, her husband was from also like a mixed family, and then she had her bridesmaid come up to us and like, that was inappropriate. You're making fun of biracial people and his family is I was like, they were the ones that was laughing at the jokes. Like they were the ones relating to what I was saying. So she was just a bridezilla and got mad and wasn't going to be happy with anything we said. And I think what she wanted us to write new material for her wedding about like weddings. And I'm like, bitch, for $100 each? Are you crazy?
I'm not doing a special for your wedding. Like I'm not doing a wedding special.
Right. For $100? You're out of your mind. And so, she was like, the bride wants you to leave. And so we got escorted out. She sent over like her bridesmaids, like they were goons. We got taps on the shoulder. She was like, y'all need to go.
Wow.
And so, there was that time. But back to Ian. And then I don't know how much time we have here, but back to Ian. So that was the end of 2009. Those were the two sets I did, was getting kicked out of a wedding and also at the J Spot. And so, as you can see, my comedy career was getting right back on track, right? And so, but so I wasn't going and getting up like I should. So it was right at the beginning of 2010 where I spoke to Ian, and I was like, I would really like your help with the joke that I'm working on. And he was like, for what? And I said, well, because I want to work on this joke. And he goes, why? And I said, because I want to do it on stage. And he goes, you're not a comedian.
Oh.
And I was like, ooh. And it hurt, it stung.
That pierce.
Yeah. I was incensed. Cause it hurt so badly to hear that, but it was true. He was like, you haven't been getting up. What are you talking about? You're not a comic. So why do you want to work on a joke? And that resonated so deep with me that I was like, he's right. I was like, what am I doing? Right. And so from then on, ever since having that conversation with him, I then started grinding, and I started going to the Comedy Store like every Sunday and Monday to sign up for the open mics. And then that led to me moving on to Family and Friends, and then eventually Showcase, and then I got passed there. It took me 5 years of going to the Comedy Store before I got passed, but names on the wall now, and I'm a regular there. And so but it was Ian. It took a real friend to tell me the truth, which is why I always tell your friends the truth, because telling them what they want to hear, telling them stuff that's going to make them feel comfortable is not going to help them. It's just going to keep them stagnant. And so that conversation is what made me start going and grinding, and I didn't look back. And
Wow.
Yeah.
So dope. Well, what's funny is since you did say that, so that actually you can kind of piggyback into. So I have these basically like closing questions where I'll just ask a couple questions, and you can kind of piggyback off, or if you want to just add on to that, because you kind of segue naturally, which is kind of what comedians are doing. But what important comic lesson would you tell your younger self if you could go back in time?
I would say never, don't let other people's opinions about you affect you, strangers. Like, I know I just told the story about Ian, but that was coming from a friend. I'm talking about people you don't know. Like, so what that producer said to me affected me. I got mad because I looked at it as, not that I didn't think that I was funny. Like, I knew that I was funny. Like, I had a bad set, but that doesn't mean I'm not funny.
Absolutely.
So everybody has a bad set. You know, that's just that you just roll with the punches. And so I think in that moment of having that bomb and then having him say those words to me, and me thinking, oh, here's this producer who is like in a power position, who's now going to hold this over my head because I rejected him.
Right.
It really discouraged me. It was like, if this is what I have to do to get anywhere in this industry, where I have to sleep with people I don't want to sleep with, or just constantly have mean things said to me out of spite and revenge.
Right.
And me coming from a background of, I have great parents. Like, I was very sheltered growing up because I had two parents that loved me, and I was always in this love bubble. And so this was my first time being in a place where I didn't know anybody, no family, didn't know what I was doing. I was out here on a wing and a prayer, and I'm meeting bad people. Like, I'm meeting people that are gonna say and try to do bad things to me. And so I let that hit me and took me to a place where it's like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm built for this industry. And so I guess my message to my younger self would be, don't let strangers influence or make you think that you can't do something, because you don't know what their motives are. They don't know you. They don't know what you're capable of. Hell, you don't know what you're capable of. So don't let a complete stranger just come into your life and deflect from your projection.
Right. Okay. Dope. Yo, Candice, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and sharing your hilarious bomb story.
Man, there'll be more. There'll be more.
There's always going to be more. That's how you grow.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. Before we go, Candice, if you want to tell people where they can find you, social media and all that stuff, and what you have.
Yeah. Social media, Jokes by Candice, and that's Candice with a Candice, not ACE. So Jokes by Candice on all social media. And then I have a podcast, The Struggle with Candice Thompson. So.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Thanks for coming on, Candice. I appreciate the time.
Of course. Bye,
Have a good one.